Our next presentation comes from National Museum of Palace of Grand Dukes in Lithuania. The speakers will introduce research preservation exhibition work related to the oldest archaeological wooden building discovered in Vilnius. The presentation is named the 13th century organic treasure room, research, preservation and exhibition of the oldest archaeological wooden building in Vilnius and its find. So, and here is a very wide team, but here is only two presenters, and it's Rūtilė Pukienė and Mantvidas Mieliauskas. So maybe you remember these guys from the past presentations. When they show us the very interesting findings in the Palace Duke territory. So, but I think this presentation will be also very interesting and very amazing. So they are crazy in restoration. And Mantvidas Mieliauskas is a restorer, and Rūtilė Pukienė is the researcher. Yeah, I'm right? Yeah?
Yes.
So guys, floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. And dear host of the conference, dear colleagues, it is a great honor for us to be here, to be invited here to present you this unique medieval complex object made mainly of organic materials, which had survived just because of the luckily undisturbed cultural layer under the waterlogged conditions. During archaeological investigations conducted in 2014-15, in the basement of the northern annex of the eastern wing of the Palace of the Grand Dukes of Lithuania in Vilnius, the remains of wooden building were discovered in the lowest cultural layer. Excavation unearthed only the central section of the building. However, in the borders of the basement, which were already investigated in 2006 and 2007, remnants of the end sections of the same building were discovered. And therefore, we have complete structure of the building excavated during the two phases of archaeological investigation. The structure measured 2.6 meters in width and 4.75 meters in length. It consists of two rooms with mixed log and frame construction and covers slightly more than 10 square meters. The building was built of Scotch pine timbers, and they are worked with axes and chisels. No saws were used. As no heating source was found, the structure is classified as a non-residential utilitarian building. The massive split plank flooring and the nature of finds suggest that the building functioned as a granary, used for storing household implements and foodstuffs. In log constructed room, an approximately 80 centimeters deep cellar or storage pit made of vertical planks was excavated, and it contained a hoard of valuable things, unique and parallel relics that most vividly represent still pre-Christian Lithuania. A wooden saddle adorned with bone and horn appliques and decorated with polychrome painting, a leather saddle cover, an oak wood ritual staff, painted maple wood horse hames, and numerous wooden utensils such as yoke, dowpeel, spatulas, brooms or whisks, birch bark containers. Equally remarkable artifacts were found in the vicinity of the building, footwear of unique construction, and the oldest golden ring discovered in Vilnius. To find out the date of the granary construction, the chronological study of the structure elements was performed. This method uses three-ring gross regularities in a piece of wood to cross-date the ring series against the reference chronology and to establish the tree felling year. And this study has showed that the pine trees used in the construction of the granary and its cellar were felled in the period from the autumn of 1281 to the summer of 1282. When the building ceased to be used, the upper part of the structure had been carefully dismantled with the removed elements laid over the undisturbed lower part. And new structure was built on top of the level land. The chronological analysis of the remains of this later building indicated that the dismantling took place before 1298, when the later construction was built. So this is the latest date when the objects found in the cellar could have been made. And it looks like they were thrown into the cellar when it was buried as no longer useful. In the later phase, the granary may have been repurposed for keeping sheep or goats, as traces of animal dung were found on the floor. The granary represents the late 2nd century phase of the Vilnius Lower Castle settlement, which is evident from the chronological dates of the oldest wooden constructions still found at the bottom of the cultural layer. The dating of these earliest buildings has revealed that at that time, especially from 1270s, intense building commenced on the terrain at the foot of the castle hill at the confluence of two rivers. And following the dismantling of the granary, the spatial orientation of the terrain started, indicating that some reorganization of the space in the 1290s. And this reshaping of the terrain most likely was related to the construction of the first brick castle in the place of the former wooden castle built at the western cape of the Castle Gill and under the present-day palace of the Grand Duke of Lithuania, where our museum exists. And now I give floor to restorer Mantvidas Mieliauskas, the head of the restoration department, and he will continue our talk and present you restoration of the finds and display solutions. Please, Mantvidas.
Thank you, Rūtilė. I will now present to you the restoration part. So, microanatomical analysis determined that the structure was made of stable pine wood, and for its preservation, the sucrose method was chosen, a technique that has been applied in our museum for about 3 decades. This method is particularly effective for coniferous wood, ensuring minimal dimensional changes, preserving natural color, and requiring neither complex equipment nor high energy consumption. Sucrose is an ecological, non-toxic, and readily available substance that dissolves in water and penetrates the wood structure through diffusion, reinforcing its degraded cellular network. And the middle section of a building was transferred to restorers, as the ends discovered in 2006-2007 excavations did not survive. And in total, 55 pine components, logs, and split planks were received. The wood was wet fragile, and classified as archaeological timber of moderate degradation. Most planks showed cracks and crumbled edges, while the logs' ends were broken off at the thinnest joining points. During conservation process, a hermetically sealed tank measuring 5 meters in length was constructed. Approximately 4,000 liters of deionized water mixed with antiseptic solution and over 3 tons of sugar were used. The sugar concentration in the solution was gradually increased from 50 grams per liter to 80 grams per liter, with entire process lasting about 1 year. After saturation, the wooden elements were removed from the solution and left to dry naturally on racks at room temperature. The drying process lasted about 5 years. The wood retained a stable form and natural color without developing new cracks. After drying, the fragments were restored, broken parts were glued, cracks were filled and retouched, and the surfaces were coated with protective wax layer. For display, it was decided to reconstruct the outline of a former granary on the platform corresponding to its authentic dimensions. Based on archaeological data, the building plan was reconstructed and the platform was made from medium-density fiberboard, MDF, panels. The surface finishing, eco-friendly low-emission Tikkurila M1 class paint were chosen. Structural supports were made of aluminum and stainless steel, powder-coated for durability. The original granary elements were mounted onto the supporting structure according to the initial numbering, ensuring stability and safety. And in 2023, marking 700 years anniversary of Vilnius, the restored granary and its artifacts were presented in exhibition and are now part of museum's permanent display. And now about artifacts. This unique artifact was presented in 12th Baltic States Triennial Conservators meeting in Vilnius, Lithuania in 2020. So more information about it you can find in catalog of that conference. I will briefly mention that this wooden saddle was masterfully decorated by the professional artist with a polychromatic ornament, is one of the most unique examples of applied art from the Middle Ages, not only within Lithuania's archaeological material, but in Europe-wide contexts. During conservation process, the temporarily protect paint layer, a cyclododecan was applied on the surface. And differently from the granary, all smaller organic artifacts were conserved with polyethylene glycol. Besides the saddle cover with wings, which was made of leather, was found. It is not known if it belonged to the saddle mentioned here. And this saddle cover is made from vegetable tanned soft goat hide and calf hide. And if you want to know more about this artifact, please look at the poster in this conference. Another example of leather artifacts is this unique pair of shoes. These shoes were sewn from thin vegetable tanned goat hide with strips of thicker cattle hide. Subsequent research showed that the shoes had been dyed with a red organic dye, And in Middle Ages, the color red symbolized prosperity and was an attribute exclusive to the upper classes. Another artifact found in a small cellar of this building is the earliest and most ornamentally decorated pair of games to have been found in the present day of territory of Lithuania. The artifact has been carefully carved from maple wood. Games are the wooden part of the horse collar, which consists of two connection hoops that are placed around the horse neck, as you can see here. The decorative elements and motifs show that different cultural influences which dominated in European and Byzantine art at the time were at play. The missing part was carved from modern maple wood based on shape, size, and decor of the other pair side, and the decorative pattern was reconstructed. The restored detail was tinted with watercolor, matching the color of the original parts, leaving the obvious difference, slightly lighter than the authentic part. It was decided not to connect the reconstructed part by any means, but to exhibit it freely inserted between the authentic parts. Next interesting item is staff cut from oak wood. And well over 200 staffs with round or pear-shaped mace heads were collected during all stages of research of Vilnius Lower Castle territory. This work is one of the earliest, most carefully and elaborately decorated staffs. Its mace head is decorated with sun symbols, plant and geometrical motifs. The staff ornamentation is similar to other works found nearby decor, like a saddle or hymns mentioned before, and the gold ring, and about it I will tell you later. And the linden bug bowl, I will tell you more about its restoration. So at first, the vessel with a protective shell was brought to the restoration department. It was turned upside down, and the soil was carefully removed from its interior with various tools. And after removing soil, the vessel was conserved without removing it from the protective shell. Conservation began with an aqueous 5% polyethylene glycol 400 and an antiseptic solution. The 5% and later 15% of higher molecular weight polyethylene glycol 1500 were added to the solution. The vessel was carefully freed from the protective shell, leaving only the bottom part, which was present through the conservation for safety reasons. Conservation was completed with an aqueous 15% polyethylene glycol solution, additionally adding 0.01% hemicellulose glucose G. The preserved find, which had dried naturally at room temperature, was restored. Larger cracks or crevices were filled with a putty of wood floor and glue glucose G. And the restored areas were tinted and item was restored. Next, bigger groups of items which were found here was 20 brooms made of major birch branches. These artifacts were restored using the same restoration method as previously mentioned above. For their further storage, special cases, as you can see here, were made of polyethylene foam that meets museum requirements. Their purpose is unclear. We know that they were cut in the summer, and could have been used as brooms, bathing bushwood, or animal feed. And at the end, we would like to mention the real precious piece of his treasure, the golden ring. It is oldest golden ring in Vilnius castles. It was found near this wooden building. The ring is made from high-quality gold alloy, decorated with a deepened foliage branch ornament. Similar plant motifs are typical decor elements found on medieval European artwork, as well as goldsmithy items. This particular ring ornament has also been filled in with a bluish enamel. Interestingly, at a similar time, the first goldsmith in Lithuania, Jokūbas, was mentioned in Riga's Book of Debts in February 13, 1292. So sorry, Latvians, hope that he paid you a debt. If not, we apologize for it. But there are good news. You can see the ring, another artifact in our museum, if you come here. So, thank you for your attention, and have a good time here.
Thank you, Mantvidas. Thank you, Rūtilė. And it's very, very interesting, and I think it's. I do not remember any other items from this century. For example, stable, and maybe you know some examples found at some kind of examples of. These artifacts found in other countries, in Latvia, maybe in Poland. Can you compare it with the other artifacts?
The organic artifacts are very rare to say, because they are sensitive and they are preserved only under waterlogged conditions. Therefore, it's no much such finds, mostly from underwater excavations. They could be found. They are also, I think, in York construction of Viking times. They have leather and wood artifacts, and some standing buildings still exist in Norway, I think, from 11th century. So some traces, for example, in this house, it is very interesting combination of two types of construction. This log construction. It is common in our.
Not too bright.
Aš nežinau čia. Pabandysim lazerio. Mes turim daug laiko. O ko jis vaikšto? Jis bėgioja, kažkas judina. Okay. Of logs. And this part is made of vertical planks. It is frame construction. And this looks like it is earlier construction, because it's still visible in Norway churches of 11th century. This is vertical plank construction. So it seems that we have transition periods between these constructions. But I think architects should be interested more in this subject, and please investigate if you are interested. It's quite a nice example from 17th century architecture. Please, do further investigation.
Thank you. Maybe somebody has a question.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation. I'm Rene from Pallas, and my question is that there was very nice shoe shoes. May I ask you show this shoe on the... the question is that I saw there are two layers. One outside there is leather, but inside is there textile or another leather. Yes, this picture.
If it was a textile, it's not preserved here.
But originally,
We
there
don't
was
know,
some
maybe.
another material or not.
I think these shoes were not a special part of our presentation, it's just interesting item. We hope that restorer of these shoes is not presenting here. Maybe she will make special presentation on these shoes.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody has a question? No? So, thank you for your presentation, and if somebody wants to ask later, please ask, and please do not hesitate. Thank you.